You're listening to KFWB News Talk 980. My name is Les Brown. I'm Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. And we thank you so much for listening to the program. And as you listen, this program is going to motivate you and inspire you to become more engaged in your life and take your life and your performance and the things that you're able to accomplish to a whole new level. So stay tuned from now until 4 because it's different than anything that's on radio. It's an injection of positivity in your life. And here's what we know. We're inundated with negative things every day in the newspaper, in media, all over the place. And whatever you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So this is a stress-free zone. This is a negative-free zone. This is a time of the day that's just for you, to empower you to take your life to another level. And we have conversations on a variety of topics, and we engage you. We want you to call in and join in the conversation, and because we love to hear your stories about what we talk about and where you stand. And the number to call is 888-539-2980. I want you to keep that in mind because I really want to hear your story on what I'm about to share with you. 888-539-2980. This is in the news today. We often hear stories from people who have had their principles challenged and they end up by standing their ground no matter what. That's especially true when you're seated on a jury and you have to determine the guilt or innocence of the person on trial. And that's exactly what 68-year-old Joanne Chikulis faced in the first corruption trial of former Governor Ron Blagojevich. I'm just messing this man's name, Blagojevich. And let me tell you what she did. Joanne tells the Chicago Tribune that even though she wasn't impressed by the ex-governor, she found the evidence against him flimsy and disorganized. Joanne said that he never formulated a clear plan to sell the position, and she viewed a lot of his comments as political grandstanding. But trying to get jurors to see her way was a battle. Joanne had stomach pains and was tired despite facing down the anger and frustration of the other jurors. She was yelled at. She was told she wasn't making any sense. At one point, one juror switched seats so that he could stare her down during the deliberations. Despite all that, Joanne believed that she had an obligation to follow both her conscience and the law. In the end, the ex-governor was convicted of one count of lying to the FBI, but was deadlocked on the other 23 counts. Once the trial was over, it got worse for Joanne. The media began to dissect every part of her life. They looked into her government job that she had retired from before the trial. They looked into a campaign donation that was made by Joanne's ex-husband 3 decades after they were divorced. Reporters stood at her condo for days. They took refuge at a relative. She took refuge at a relative's home, but they soon tracked her down. She listened to local talk shows who questioned her intelligence and her commitment to jury service. One reporter called her crazy on television. Joanne said, that hurt. That really hurt the most. She said, I took my duty seriously, considered the evidence, and deliberated in good faith. I shouldn't have to justify my decision before or beyond that. I did it in good faith. No juror should be forced to defend themselves. Now, with the second trial set to start today, Joanne fears that her experience will keep jurors from performing according to the duties that they have sworn to uphold. She says, my fear is that someone will see what happened to me and vote with the majority just to avoid the scrutiny. What I went through was very painful, but I would not be able to live with myself if I had abandoned my principles and just capitulated to others. And that's what I want to focus on today. Sticking to your principles. I'll tell you an experience. Now, I went into drugstore today right before coming to the station to get some of my energy bars. I love those. And as I was reading this to prepare about taking a stand, and I want to know, when is it that you had to take a stand on principle, and it cost you, and you knew it would cost you? I want to tell you a man named Sam Axelrod. Sam Axelrod was one of my early mentors. Sam Axelrod, he sold television sets in Miami and Liberty City in the low-income areas, and I I rode around with Sam. He hired me, and we would sell television sets, and we would, during that time, that's when color television sets, you had, this is what a color television set was in the hood. You had some plastic, something plastic that looked like a rainbow, the different colors on the plastic that you put on the television. That was a color television set. I'm telling you, I'm serious. I'm not making this up. That was a color television set. It was a strip of plastic that had different colors, yellow and red and pink and green, and you put that on the screen and you looked at your black and white television set. But that was a color television set then. Oh my God. That was our version of high definition. That's how old I am. Nobody listening would remember that. My IQ too young to remember that. All right. So we sold these type of television sets, Philips and Emerson and General Electric. And so when we went to eat one day off Biscayne Boulevard, and we were just going across by this restaurant, and that restaurant was under construction, so we went across the Venetian Causeway on Miami Beach, and Sam made a turn, and his face turned red. I was asleep. He said, "Oh my God," and he started cursing. And Sam was a very peaceful guy, and I couldn't understand why Sam was cursing, and he was upset. And I said, "What's happening, Sam?" He went around the corner, he came back, he said, "Read that sign." And the sign said, "Jews, dogs," and it had the N-word, Jews, dogs, and I'll just say black people, not allowed. And he just sat there for a moment and he looked at it. And so we drove on and stopped at a restaurant to eat. So when I stayed in the car because I knew the rules, and so Sam got out to go into the restaurant, and the guy said, "Did you read the sign?" And Sam said, "I'd like to eat." So he said, "Come on, Leslie, come on in." I said, "No, Sam, I said, that's okay. See, I didn't want anybody going behind closed doors to fix my food." Let me tell you something up in here. I didn't want them to go back there and do something real special for me, all right? I said, "Sam, I'm fine right here in the car." And I knew if they called the police, they weren't going to take Sam down. They're going to take my behind down. I said, "Sam, I'm cool. Leslie, come on. We're going in." And so I got out of the car reluctantly, and the guy said, "Did you read the sign?" And Sam said, "Get out of my way." He said, "Come on, Leslie, let's sit down." And so we went to sit down. The guy went and called the manager. The manager came over and said, "Let me tell you something." And he called him all kind of Jewish names, all kind of negative things. He said, "You," and the N-word, that's what he used for me. "Get out of here right now before I call the police." I say, "Sam, please, come on. I don't want to go to jail. Please, Sam, because this is not going to work." So we left. Well, that was not the last of it with Sam. Sam, he was mad, and I was also, because I just didn't think that the guy had to be as ugly as he was. And as we were going out, Sam was a little older. He's about in his 60s at that time. He pushed Sam in the back and called him some type of Jewish name. And when he pushed Sam, who's been my mentor and one of the nicest people I'd ever met, then Liberty City came out of me. Okay, at that time, I turned around and I lost it, and I grabbed him and threw him against the wall. I said, "You put your hands on him again, I'll break your back." And Sam said, "Leslie, stop and let this man go. Let's leave here now." And I was still, he had to pull me out. And he says, "Leslie," and I'll never forget this. He said, "Anger is the wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. Don't get angry, Leslie." He said, "The best revenge is massive success." I never forget those words. Fast forward. 4 months later, Sam drove into the restaurant again. "Leslie, come on, let's go in." I said, "Sam, are you crazy? Come on. This guy, they're going to call the police." He said, "Leslie, let's go in." I went there with Sam, and the guy said, "Oh, no." And he said, "Leslie, take a seat." We went and took a seat, and the guy said, the manager said, "Oh, you're back again. You're back again, aren't you?" He said, "We're not going to serve you anything." He said, "Call the police." They called the police. And when the police showed up at that moment and asked us to leave, Sam came to the front door of the restaurant and signaled for a guy to get out of his car. The guy who got out of the car was an attorney. And the attorney came and showed the police officer that Sam Axelrod had purchased the restaurant. He said, "Leslie, take a seat, and he looked at the guy, the manager, and said, excuse my expression, but your ass is fired. Get out of here. Oh, my God! That guy, he was so shocked. Sam took a stand. Let the record show. He took a stand. I love that. Oh, my God. That's the first time I've ever told that story publicly. I love Sam Axelrod. He was an incredible guy. But he just didn't take it sitting down. The best revenge is massive success. And I want to know, when is it that you've taken a stand and it cost you something? My mentor, Mike Williams, said, Les, it's better to lose in a cause that will ultimately win than to win in a cause that will ultimately lose. When is it that you saw something that you said, you know what, this is not going down like this. This is wrong. Well, that's the way we've always done it here. I don't care. That's not what I'm dealing with. This is wrong. And because of your integrity, because of your values, because of what you stood for, you just could not stand back and be silent. Something in you, before you knew it, you had opened your big mouth. Have you ever been in a situation like that? You know I have been up in some situations like that. I want to hear from you. The number to call is 888-539-2980. I want to hear from you. When is it that you took a stand like Joanne? Maybe the stakes weren't as high, but there's something that you just had to do. I believe in that saying, always stand up for what you believe in, because you can fall for anything. 888-539-2980. My name is Les Brown. I want to